Welcome to today's discussion on an exciting future prospect, the future of S&P 500 Index Fund. As we embark on this journey together, we'll be unveiling some of the mysteries and potentials surrounding this pivotal financial instrument. But before we dive into the heart of the matter, let's lay a solid foundation by understanding what the S&P 500 Index Fund is all about. The S&P 500 Index Fund is more than just a bunch of numbers and letters thrown together. It's a financial titan, a market index that includes 500 of the largest companies listed on the stock exchanges in the United States. When you hear about the health of the U.S. stock market, chances are they're talking about the S&P 500. However, the S&P 500 Index Fund is not just a barometer for the U.S. economy. It's an investment vehicle that millions of people around the world use to grow their wealth. When you invest in an S&P 500 index fund, you're essentially buying a small piece of those 500 companies all at once. It's a way of spreading your bets across a wide array of businesses, making it a vital tool for diversifying your investment portfolio. Why is this important, you ask? Well, the S&P 500 has consistently proven to be a reliable performer. Over the long term, it has provided solid returns that have outperformed many other types of investments. But what does the future hold for this financial powerhouse? That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And that's exactly what we're going to explore in this video. We'll delve into expert predictions, analyze market trends, and look at potential challenges and opportunities that could shape the future of the S&P 500 Index Fund. So buckle up as we take a deep dive into the future of this influential index fund. Let's uncover the possibilities and navigate the uncertainties together as we look towards a future that promises to be as exciting as it is unpredictable. Hello viewers, if you are enjoying this content, and you do not want to miss future videos filled with even more tips, tricks, and inspiration, hit that subscribe button now to stay tuned with us and remember to comment and share. Before we predict the future, we must understand the present. So what exactly is the S&P 500 Index Fund? The S&P 500 Index Fund is a type of mutual fund or exchange-traded fund, ETF, that strives to mirror the performance of the Standard & Poor's 500 Index, hence its name. This index is a widely recognized barometer of the U.S. stock market and an indicator of the economic health of the nation. It comprises the 500 largest companies listed on the stock exchanges in the United States. Think of the S&P 500 Index Fund as a basket. But instead of fruits or vegetables, this basket contains stocks. And not just any stocks, but stocks from 500 of the largest companies in the U.S. This basket is designed to give investors a broad exposure to the U.S. stock market. By investing in this fund, you're essentially buying a small piece of each of these companies. Now, you might be wondering, why would someone want to invest in an index fund instead of picking individual stocks? The answer to that is quite simple. Diversification. Investing in an S&P 500 index fund allows you to spread your risk across 500 different companies instead of putting all your eggs in one or two baskets. This is particularly beneficial for investors who may not have the time or expertise to research and manage a portfolio of individual stocks. With an S&P 500 index fund, the hard work is done for you. You're investing in a pre-made, diversified portfolio of some of the largest and most successful companies in the United States. But how does the S&P 500 Index Fund work? It operates on the principle of passive investing. The fund aims to replicate the performance of the S&P 500 index, not to outperform it. This means that the fund will hold the same stocks in the same proportions as the index. When the index goes up, the fund goes up. When the index goes down, the fund goes down. The beauty of this approach is its simplicity. There's no need for a team of analysts to research and select stocks. The fund simply follows the index. This results in lower costs, which are passed on to investors in the form of lower fees. But where does the S&P 500 Index Fund fit in the financial world? It's considered a cornerstone of modern portfolio theory. This theory suggests that an investor can achieve optimal returns by investing in a diversified portfolio of assets. The S&P 500 Index Fund provides this diversification, offering a balance of growth and value stocks across a range of sectors. In addition, the S&P 500 Index Fund is often used as a benchmark for other investments. When you hear someone say that a particular fund or stock has outperformed the S&P 500, they're comparing that investment's performance to the performance of the S&P 500 index. In conclusion, the S&P 500 Index Fund is an investment vehicle that offers broad exposure to the U.S. stock market. It operates on the principle of passive investing, aiming to replicate the performance of the S&P 500 index. It's a tool for diversification, a cornerstone of modern portfolio theory, and a benchmark for other investments. Now that we have a good understanding of the S&P 500 Index Fund, let's explore why it is so important. The S&P 500 Index Fund is not just another financial instrument, it's a powerhouse in the world of investment. It's akin to a mighty river, its currents shaping the landscape of global finance. Let's take a moment to understand what makes this fund so influential. The S&P 500 Index Fund is like a mirror reflecting the U.S. economy. It includes 500 of the largest U.S. companies, spanning various sectors. So when you invest in this fund, you're essentially buying a small piece of these companies. You're investing in the American economy itself. This is the crux of its importance. When the S&P 500 Index Fund moves, it's often a sign of broader economic trends. It's a barometer of the financial health of the nation and, to an extent, the world. Consider this. The S&P 500 Index Fund represents about 80% of the total value of the U.S. stock market. That's a hefty slice of the financial pie. When this fund rises or falls, it has a ripple effect on global markets. Investors worldwide look to the S&P 500 Index Fund for cues. It's a bellwether for market sentiment, a compass pointing the direction of financial winds. But the importance of the S&P 500 Index Fund isn't just macroscopic. It has a significant role in the financial lives of individuals as well. Many of us are familiar with the phrase, "Don't put all your eggs in one basket." This sage advice holds true in the world of investment, where diversification is key, and this is where the S&P 500 Index Fund shines. By investing in this fund, you're spreading your risk across 500 companies. You're not just betting on one horse, but on the collective strength of some of the largest companies in the U.S. This diversification can provide a buffer against the volatility of financial markets. It's like having a safety net, a cushion that can soften the blow of financial downturns. Moreover, the S&P 500 Index Fund has historically provided solid returns over the long term. While past performance is not a guarantee of future results, the fund has shown resilience and growth potential. It's no wonder that many financial advisors recommend the S&P 500 Index Fund as a core part of any investment portfolio. There's another aspect to consider. The S&P 500 Index Fund is a passive investment. This means it simply aims to replicate the performance of the S&P 500 index. It's not trying to outsmart the market or pick winners. This passive approach can lead to lower costs, which is good news for investors. To put it simply, the S&P 500 Index Fund is like a Swiss Army knife in the world of investment. It offers diversification, potential for growth, and lower costs. It's a tool that can help you navigate the twists and turns of financial markets. In essence, the S&P 500 Index Fund is a cornerstone of the financial world. Its influence stretches from Wall Street to Main Street, from global markets to individual portfolios. It's a fund that encapsulates the dynamism and diversity of the U.S. economy. Having seen its importance, we can now try to glimpse into its future. And that, dear listeners, is a fascinating journey that awaits us in the next segment. So stay tuned as we delve into the realm of possibilities, into the future of the S&P 500 Index Fund. The exciting part, the future of the S&P 500 Index Fund. What does it hold for us? Well, let's dive right in and explore the potential prospects that this financial giant might bring to the table. The S&P 500 Index Fund, the benchmark of American equities, has been a reliable performer over the past several decades. But what about the future? How will this behemoth evolve in the coming years? What can we expect from it? Well, to understand the future, we must first acknowledge the fact that the S&P 500 Index Fund is a reflection of the broader U.S. economy. It's a mirror image of the economic trends, business cycles, and the overall financial health of the country. So when we talk about the future of the S&P 500 Index Fund, we're essentially discussing the future of the U.S. economy. Now let's look at some expert predictions. Most financial analysts and economists are optimistic about the future performance of the S&P 500 Index Fund. They believe that as long as the U.S. economy continues to grow, the S&P 500 index fund will keep on delivering solid returns. However, it's important to note that these returns may not always be as spectacular as they have been in the past. As the U.S. economy matures, the growth rate is likely to slow down, and this could potentially impact the returns from the S&P 500 index fund. But even then, experts agree that the fund will continue to be a reliable investment option, offering steady and consistent returns. But what about potential changes? Well, the S&P 500 index fund has always been dynamic, evolving with the changing face of the U.S. economy. And this trend is likely to continue in the future as well. For instance, as technology continues to play a bigger role in our lives, we can expect tech companies to have a larger representation in the S&P 500 index fund. Similarly, as the world moves towards a greener future, companies that are environmentally conscious and sustainable could find their way into the S&P 500 index fund. Moreover, the fund might also see some changes in its composition due to geopolitical shifts and changes in global trade dynamics. For instance, if the U.S. strengthens its trade ties with certain countries, companies operating in those regions could see a boost, which might reflect in their presence in the S&P 500 index fund. So what does all this mean for investors? Well, the future of the S&P 500 index fund is indeed promising. Yes, there might be some volatility and fluctuations, but that's part and parcel of any investment. The key is to remain patient and stay invested for the long term. The S&P 500 index fund is likely to continue being a cornerstone of many investment portfolios. It offers diversification, stability, and the potential for solid returns, making it an attractive option for both seasoned investors and those just starting their investment journey. However, as with any investment, it's important to do your homework. Keep yourself updated with the latest economic trends. Understand the factors that can impact the performance of the S&P 500 index fund, and make informed investment decisions. In conclusion, the future of the S&P 500 index fund is bright. It's a dynamic entity that is likely to evolve and adapt to the changing economic landscape. And while the road ahead might have its share of bumps and curves, the journey is likely to be rewarding for those who choose to stay the course. The future of the S&P 500 index fund is indeed promising and full of possibilities. So, whether you're a seasoned investor or a novice, the S&P 500 index fund continues to be an investment worth considering. We have taken a journey from understanding the S&P 500 index fund to exploring its future, but this is just the tip of the iceberg. Indeed, the S&P 500 index fund is a complex financial instrument that requires continuous learning and understanding. It's a fascinating blend of the top 500 companies in the U.S., offering a diversified portfolio that can benefit investors in various ways. We started our journey by understanding the basics of this fund. We learned that it's a passively managed fund that aims to replicate the performance of the S&P 500 index, which is why it's a favorite among investors who value stability and long-term growth. Then we delved into why the S&P 500 index fund plays such a crucial role in the financial world. Its importance lies in its ability to provide a broad market exposure, a low expense ratio, and a high level of liquidity. That's why it's often recommended as a core portfolio holding for investors. We also took a glimpse into the future of the S&P 500 index fund. While no one can predict the future with absolute certainty, it's expected that the fund will continue to evolve and adapt to the changing economic landscape. Technological advancements and shifts in the global economy will undoubtedly play a significant role in shaping its future. This journey, however, is far from over. The world of finance is a vast ocean of knowledge waiting to be explored. Whether you're a seasoned investor or a novice, there's always something new to learn. The S&P 500 Index Fund, with its rich history and promising future, is a great starting point. So continue to educate yourself, ask questions, and seek advice from financial professionals. As we've seen, the S&P 500 Index Fund is not just a financial instrument, it's a reflection of the U.S. economy. Understanding it means understanding the pulse of the nation's economic health. Remember, knowledge is power, especially in the world of finance. We hope you found this video informative and interesting. The world of finance is a vast and complex one, but it's our mission to break it down, to make it more accessible, more comprehensible. We've delved into the S&P 500 Index Fund, its importance, and what the future holds for it. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more to explore, and we're excited to take that journey with you. We believe in the power of shared knowledge, and we're here to create a community of curious minds, of savvy investors, of individuals who are prepared to take control of their financial future. If you found value in today's video, we ask you to help us spread this knowledge. A simple click on the like button helps us reach more people, and your subscription ensures you won't miss out on future content. We're not just here to talk at you, though. We want to hear from you too. Your insights, your questions, your experiences, they matter. They help us create content that is relevant to you, content that answers your queries, content that helps you make informed decisions. So feel free to drop a comment below. Tell us what you thought of today's video, ask us your burning questions, or suggest a topic for a future video. We're all ears. We're also on a variety of social media platforms. Share our videos with your friends, your family, your colleagues. You never know, you might spark an interest, ignite a passion, or even change a life. We're here for you, and we're eager to continue this journey of financial education together. Remember, knowledge is the most valuable investment you can make. So invest in yourself, invest in your future. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more insightful content. Until next time, keep learning, keep investing.